been trying hard just to make us all vanish. I suggest they put a flag on a whole nother planet. Black girl magic, y'all can't stand it, y'all can't ban it. Made out like a bandit. They've been trying hard just to make us all vanish. I suggest they put a flag on a whole nother planet. Black girl magic, y'all can't stand it, y'all can't ban it. Made out like a bandit. They've been trying hard just to make us all vanish. I suggest they put a flag on a whole nother planet. Black girl magic, y'all can't stand it, y'all can't ban it. Made out like a bandit. They've been trying hard just to make us all vanish. I suggest they put a flag on a whole nother planet.
I'm Leo Sunfire.
And I'm Dr. Love.
Welcome to the Black Portal Power, where we center the Black experience. Open your mind,
For your soul.
for the portal is open.
So, Leo Sunfire, please tell us about Black Portal Power.
Well, Black Portal Power came to me from a vision of nonsense that has been going on in the world, and I needed to figure out a way to get the people to understand that this was not the way. So, portal means opening, power means power, and blackness is just blackness.
And we know that Black is dope, right? No ifs, ands, or buts
Dope.
about it. This
Dope.
is
Dope.
what we live, what we breathe.
Absolutely.
Every day, all day.
Absolutely.
And the thing I love about these conversations that I get to have with you is that you and we couldn't be closer as friends, as sisters. I always call you the guru, right? Because you bring wisdom to everything that we talk about, but you bring a realness to it too.
Gratitude.
But that you and I don't see eye to eye on these topics all the time, right?
Absolutely.
But we have such a healthy love and respect for each other.
Absolutely.
But we don't treat the Black community as monolithic in any way.
Nah.
So I love this. I love Black Portal Power. I love the idea of talking about us as a people, not thinking that we all come at this with the same view, the same ideals, but that we can do this in such a way that brings power to us.
Absolutely.
And agency to the way in which we think and see and feel the world.
Absolutely. And it also allows people to express themselves in ways to where they can get an understanding and have a perspective that has not been taught to them, but something that they can develop within themselves. I mean, I created Chocolate University because with Blackness, it has to be a university for chocolateness. Chocolate is what chocolate does.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that doesn't mean it's out there or it's outlandish, right?
Absolutely.
That if we start centering us and our thoughts and our experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're so grandiose in our nature. The perspective of who we are has been downsized and downgraded because of because they know how big and grand we are. We're the only ones that have dialed ourselves down or downplayed who we are to let others shine. It's time for us to shine.
All right. So no more whitewashing. No more whitewashing, right?
Yes. Now, I'm introducing my girl, Professor Dr. Love.
So for me, when you came up with Black Portal Power, what was so powerful about it was that I get to not speak about things from sort of the dominant culture and the way in which the white culture sort of thinks about things. Yes. But you always empower me to think about it from the Black experience. And to be unapologetically Black in the way that I see politics, the way that I see education, the way that I see health, the way that I see everything, even love. Yes. And so that has been so important for me in my connection with you. I remember when I first met you, the thing that really struck me was this woman is so unapologetically black. She could be in the whitest of spaces, and you are going to bring that right there, that attitude, that swagger, that grandiose ideal about who you are, and that you belong in this space to everything. And so you've taught me so much in that realm, and it just allows me to be freely who I am, and to not be confined and constrained. And you be always free. You make me be audacious and outrageous.
Why not?
Exactly.
When you stand 5 foot, period, most of your life, you have to feel big. You have to make yourself big. You have to think big. You have to act big. So you can't downplay yourself, and everybody around you is big. So if I see you and I see that you don't have the bigness that you deserve, I'm going to introduce you to it.
No doubt. And that you do, sis. That you do. If anything, I find myself trying to rein you in sometimes.
Well,
and the more I try to rein you in, the more outrageous you become. And I love it. I love it.
What better way?
I love it.
I'm just saying. Well, I really want to get down to these topics that we have been, manifesting in our minds. One of the things I want to discuss is entanglement. Entanglement, is this a new thing? Is this a thing?
Right,
how did we get here?
Certainly social media blew this up.
Man.
This Will, Jada, and August, and of course Jada uses the term entanglement, and it set social media on fire.
Dope.
On fire.
It was dope that she did that, though. I mean, she said I'm a cheater, but it's an entanglement.
Right.
I mean,
it's cheating, but not quite. I just got tangled up, tied up.
It's an entanglement.
So, sis, let me start with this. Do you think anybody would have even cared if the tables were turned and it wasn't Jada who was caught in the indiscretion, but Will?
Yeah, they would have cared, but they would have been angry at Will. They would have been very angry at Will, and they would have thought that she was Mother Teresa and that she was just a saint and that he should have never done such a thing to her. And you know how they flip the script on the men and make the men the villains of the story, when things like this happen on both sides all the time. I mean, cheaters are cheaters no matter what it looks like. And I personally believe that they had an arrangement that we should really not even care about. I mean, we got COVID-19 going on right now, and we're talking about entanglements with Jada and Will that has been broadcast 10 years prior to this. I mean, but that's where we are. So when it comes to regular relationships, I mean, regular people, we talk about Will and Jada, but regular people have now found themselves using the word entanglement.
So is it just an entanglement because the woman cheated, or can men use the word entanglement? Does it apply to when men cheat? Like you said, Will probably would have been, he would have been
put out to pasture for the black women, persecuted, hung, strung up, however you want to look at it. They would have did him dirt. They would have did him wrong. But I mean, I think it is only being used because it's a woman that has come out and said, okay, I did something and I wasn't supposed to come out, but since it did, I'm gonna call it an entanglement. Kiki.
So I like what you said about too, if they didn't have the status they had. I mean, many of us have a granddaddy who had a family down the way, around the way.
Man, personally, I don't even want to get into that, but go ahead,
And we, and it was known but not spoken about, right? That granddaddy, that Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Well, they called it that, that he was a cheater. He wouldn't have a couple of families. Okay, but that's how it always has been, entanglements.
And DNA tests, paternity tests, some of us might be shocked about our true lineage.
Did you date your cousin? I'm just saying.
If some of these things came to light, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes me wonder then, Tanya, is fidelity real? Is that something that is real? Is that something that's actual? Can people truly be monogamous, or is that an unrealistic expectation?
I mean, I think it could be if that's what you really, really want it to be. If you set out to have a monogamous relationship, if you set out to have a relationship with one person, and I mean both people having the same mindset, the same aligned mindset to be with that one person, then yeah, absolutely fidelity can work. But when you're dealing with two souls, two different people, you have two different ways of viewing things. You have to think about the two backgrounds that the people have come from, and what they are used to seeing, and what the society has taught them as well about relationships, the sustainability of them. And if you really want to see someone for the rest of your life, forever is a long, long time. So do you say forever, or do you really just say, I'm gonna do this right now because it's cool and I love this person and I just want to beat it in this thing, and then change up on you and say, well, I got a clause and it says divorce. I can get that done if I'm tired of the entanglement, I'm tired of the fidelity. Yeah, I think that's where it all stands, and that's where we're sitting in all of this. Monogamy is something that I think it's like a contract. Not to say that it's a bad contract. It's just a contract between the two people that decided to enter into it and sign the agreement. But you definitely have to think about what it is that you want going into it, because you're dealing with a soul. You're dealing with a person's mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual connection to everything. And you can sever that by destroying it with infidelity, by destroying the heartstrings. I mean, when you pull on those things, yeah, you're going to get a reaction, I promise. But let's make it a good reaction. You don't want to bring negativity to the table when it comes to relationships, but we often do, because we're different people.
And who we were 5 years ago may be different than who we are,
Absolutely.
10 years down the line, let alone, our grandparents will be married for 50, plus years. And I'm sure that meant some evolving. I like that you use the word arrangement, that perhaps with Will and Jada, they had an arrangement that maybe went haywire because the third party didn't understand you are part of an arrangement, you're not a permanent fixture.
Right.
Is it possible to have an arrangement, where we accept, I'm vested in you, but I got, I had these other needs over here that I should be able to get satisfied as long as I don't get emotionally attached? Then is that an entanglement? Is that cheating?
It's no, because the two people that set out with the agreement understood the arrangement. Now when you bring in someone else, again, that's a soul, that's a person. That person has feelings and emotions, and if you sever those based on your lust or your desires, or however your arrangement is with the other person, it's just not fair. So no, I'm not surprised that August came out and said, yeah, ho, you did me dirty and I'm mad and I'm gonna say something. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all that he decided to come out and talk about it. And now that he has, I think Will feeling some kind of way, like they weren't supposed to know. I mean, they weren't supposed to hear about this. Our agreement was between the two of us, and you were supposed to keep him in check, and you didn't. So now we gotta sit at the red table.
And as you said, you can't keep in check another soul, their feelings, and you're bringing that into the mix. So.
Yeah, you have to be careful with that, because people definitely matter. Not Black lives, people.
I'm not even gonna start that with you on this show. We're gonna table that for the next show.
Okay.
And I know we gotta go to break here, but we're listening to Black Portal Power on BSB Radio.
Dope.
scientifically referred to as the womb man's uterus, or the place that your current human experience initiated its first 9 months of 3-dimensional development. Smoke. Some say your spirit or your light transmits into your brain's pineal gland in the 13th week of gestation. 13 being the highest of the Sephira, the beginning and the end of the cycle. This is not your first time here. Never die. Can you see now? Never die. Can you see now? Welcome back to the womb. Life. I did give birth to a god. It don't start with the dad and the mom. First all the stars in the sky are aligned, and light from the sun and the moon are combined. The dick is the paintbrush, the pussy's the canvas we paint stuff. Let the brush stroke, let the paint bust, illustrate us. The plagiarist change and deface us, then replace us. It's funny how lead can erase us. Take the color out, now we all white, this is race us. Do they hate us? I'm a sculpture made out of space dust that was molded same way that clay does. Painted triple dark with the same stuff that creates love. Vaginas are portals from spirit to physical. Collective conscious individualizes the act of having sex is rhythmical, like the heart that's beating in the inner you. With the gift of the genitals, humans are God when he's visible. There is no limits, we're mystical. Everyone you know is really you. I am simply just a seed. This room is really just a womb. Incubating as I self-create like a black rose when it blooms. So much nigger in my DNA that my cum is black. I could drip a tiny drop of semen in the desert sand and bring a jungle back. Who could fuck with that? I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way out, but I don't have a clue. In the midst of this woman, for 9 months of darkness, till I finally break through. I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way back inside of that womb. In the midst of this woman, my life is of darkness, till I finally break through. What if earth is heaven, we just made it hell? What if there's no God, we create ourselves? What if life is really death and death is birth? Time is infinite, what's a second worth? What if singing is the language of the soul? What if speaking is the language of the mind? What if rap is really both of those combined? And this is the Bible if it rhymes. You would think that my umbilical cord was a long bong, cause even as a fetus I was chiefing weed that mom's on. She must have conceived me the 1987 pop songs. The memories of being in my mother's womb are not gone. The birds and the bees, earth and the seeds, dirt in the trees, inserted between, swerving she screams, sperms in her deed. To come has gotta be the greatest release of energy a human could have, but to overdo it could reduce it to trash. When the boo you do it with ain't doing it back. Stick a hard drive in a pussy, I mean PC, and upload data, I mean no daddy, I mean no Trojan. Let her pro sex or I'ma go faster. I'm a cold fella cause I'm binary and I'm virus free. When I open my window, reload the sun, all I see is green, raining O's and ones. I'm a Mac. See, I'm bout dollars like shift 4. I'm a raise font and control P's, so I print more till it hits floor. These are space bars. Command with option to escape y'all. Magnetize and erase y'all. 3 dubs and you stay calm. I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way out, but I don't have a clue. In the midst of this woman, for 9 months of darkness, till I finally break through. Now I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way back inside of that womb. In the midst of this woman, my life is of darkness, till I finally break through. I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way out, but I don't have a clue. In the midst of this woman, for 9 months of darkness, till I finally break through. Now I'm stuck in this room, trying to find my way back inside of that womb. In the midst of this woman, my life is of darkness, till I finally break through.
So welcome back to Black Portal Power. This is Dr. Love.
And this is Leo Sunfire.
So Leo, you were saying, yeah, we're kind of caught up, almost sidetracked by the sideshow of, entanglements, when there's more important issues going on that are affecting our community right now, including COVID-19. But before we get there, because I definitely wanna go there with you.
Party.
Let's get to it. Let's talk about another upcoming issue. And we know in November we get to go out to the polls and
Make your mark
on the world, hopefully.
Put your X on there.
You put your X down right there, and that's not to downplay the importance of voting in our community, but we certainly understand that we have ancestors like the late great John Lewis, who fought and really put his life on the line and was in prison for our right to vote. But then we also understand that so many in our community don't exercise their right, not necessarily because, they don't respect what those before us did and the sacrifices they made, but they also see the reality of, I can exercise this power and it not change my life at all, So the impact of our current, leadership, or the lack thereof, I'll say, from treating this virus as a political rather than a public health issue, to the law and order response to civil unrest around the killing of unarmed Black people by law enforcement, really has people on edge right now. And so, I want you to do what you do in the way that you do it and talk about this upcoming election, Leo.
Well, I am very unpopular in my thinking of all of this. You mentioned our ancestors fighting for the right to vote. I wonder if they were able to really get a message through to us and say, quit fighting. We didn't do that right. I mean, we screwed the pooch on that one right there. I mean, we made emphasis on voting to get somewhere where it has never impacted us, period. We know that personally. We see it throughout all the communities that there has never been a president that has sat in office, including Obama, and I know everybody gonna hate me for that one, that has done anything to uplift our people. We are still waiting on reparations for something that was done to our people, and everybody else gets theirs, but not ours. So I wanted to touch on that because you mentioned the ancestor part. I don't know if they would be happy that they set us up like that now that they know better, but that's neither here nor there.
And I think what you're speaking to, to be completely honest, Leo Sunfire, is that we're talking about expecting a culture that was built on the backs of racial inequality and racism. Absolutely. So now we're saying, let's fix a system that has never, ever been set up to be responsive to us or our community. And, I know my grandmother, if she were listening, she'd be like, wait a minute, I need to have a conversation. Pause. You don't talk about Obama. Listen, you and I grew up in households where there was a picture of Dr. King next to Jesus. Right?
White Jesus, too.
Why Jesus? Because there was Dr. King and then there was Jesus.
Because they mean the same thing. But go ahead.
And President Obama was iconic for us.
Absolutely.
Right? But we certainly can debate whether or not his election was more symbolic.
It was.
Versus being substantive. Absolutely. And if we assume that we cannot be critical, right, of that, then we treat us as if we are monolithic, that we don't have free thought, that we all have to think the same. And you can be critical of something and still respect it.
Absolutely.
Right? And we can forget that. That can get lost in the sauce. And you and I have talked about this before, I think, because we recognize that in terms of the way in which we're viewed, we're a small community within a broader white community.
Absolutely.
And we want to have a unified front, when we're having these types of discussions, but we are not the same. We said this at the onset. The thing that I love about my conversations with you and getting to rap with you on this level is we recognize that we are not a monolithic group. We have diversity of thought, diversity of ideas, and diversity of ways to fix the problem, right? You had
Absolutely.
Malcolm on this side and Martin on this side.
Yeah.
You had Du Bois on this side and Carver on the other side, Washington Carver on the other side. So we've never thought the exact same about how we achieve freedom and how we make it happen. That being said, how do you fix a structure that was not set up for you? I mean, do we take the Marcus Garvey approach and say, listen, we need to find a camp somewhere else? Or do we fight for reparations? Do we keep pushing for that within a nation that we built?
Well, my thought process, this is where I stand. We first have to know thyself. We first have to understand who we are and where we come from. I know the history is something that people really just kind of shove off because they think, it's something in the past. But history is what, if you don't learn from what happened, you will repeat it again and again and again. And one of the things that we have not learned within our culture is to love and know thyself. This land that we all sit on, this is ours. Amalek. Have you ever heard of that name?
No.
These are the people that lived on this planet in America before anybody had a chance to inhabit it. And they look like us. So are we really the ones that got shipped from the boats and from Africa, on the boats from Africa, based on the story that was told to us? Or are we just original freaking people from the lands that we sit on today? Know thyself. Indigenous is what I call it. So I'm asking you to give me what you said you would give me after you kept us in bondage for, I'm just go ahead and say it, 400 years. And let us do what we do best. Let us figure this out. Let our minds, our bodies, and our souls work for us. And then we can see how to repair all of the rest of America. But first and foremost, give me my 40 acres and a mule.
Come on.
I need the mule.
Come on.
Don't just give me the 40 acres. Give me my mule.
Come on.
I need that.
And see, I love that. I love how first you're educating us on even thinking about what it means to be indigenous, right? That even anthropologists will accept and acknowledge that the oldest human remains were found in the continent of Africa.
You know
right?
what I'm saying?
So for that matter, we're all Africans, right? We are the indigenous people. But how do we make good on providing what was guaranteed in our, let's call it our emancipation, right? Or because it wasn't emancipation if you follow it up with no plan, right? As I believe Du Bois said. How do they make good on the 40 acres and a mule?
Give it to us. It's that simple. You give everybody else what they ask for. Give it to us. That means you have to give up what you thought belonged to you. Give it to us. Make it fair. Make the playing field fair. I mean, don't take a head start and have me sit 30 seconds behind and make me catch up all the time. That's where we're at. We've been there. We're going to stay there until they give it to us. That is land. That is agriculture. That is farming. That is the money part. We can figure that out later. But if we learn to cultivate ourselves and our land again, we'll fix ourselves. We'll fix our culture. It's a promise. I guarantee it. It's something that we have. It's a lost art. It was something that was done to us purposefully so that we didn't remember who we are. And the reason why we're all African, I shouldn't even use that word because that wasn't what it was called back then. But since we're going to talk about the continent part of it, the lands were together. So when people began to walk, they walked across the land before it was split up and the oceans became a part of what separated and divided the continents. So yes, we're all over the world. Our faces, our melanin, it's all over the world. We have created and built this whole world.
Absolutely.
So America's not exempt from that. Amalek. I'm gonna say that word again. Amalek. It's the big old statues of this big face man with this big face nose and these big face lips, and Amalek. That's what we are. That's where we come from. That's what's indigenous to this land. Give us our 40 acres.
I love it. I love it. Even the idea that the pyramids, right? That
Absolutely.
before they were destroyed and were the physical features
Absolutely.
of those pharaohs and those gods,
Absolutely.
right? Of their time. That is very clear, right? The Moors. I mean, you and I, this is where we party.
Well,
this is where we get down.
Educated by the Moors. That's what the people who wrote the Constitution, they were educated by the Moors.
Yeah, this is, and so when you think about it in that respect, the land rights that should be given to us, no different than they are to Native Americans. That's the basic thing that can be asked for. Like you said, we can sort out the monetary value, especially if you look at, here's how this nation would not have even existed had it not been for the free labor of slaves, right? And so that means you owe me some money in this stock markets that drive the economy of this nation. Absolutely. And beyond. And I think this is why nobody wants to have a real candid, serious conversation about reparations and what that means. How do you pay back what you've stolen? How do you give back what you have appropriated, right? And so that being said, you and I both, we've birthed millennials. Do we encourage them to vote, or do we accept their cynicism about the idea of voting? And I teeter, I really do teeter. Part of me, is always encouraging them, get out and vote. I understand what you're saying, but just exercise your right. The fact that people died for you to be able to do this, do it. That. But at the same time, I don't want to in any way dismiss their cynicism.
Absolutely.
How do we balance that?
I don't know how you balance a lie and a truth. That's what we're doing. When we continuously perpetuate a lie, how you balance that? How do you say go and vote and it's a lie? How do you keep saying that to generation after generation after generation and it's a lie? But I'm not gonna discourage people to go out and do things that they feel in their heart is okay, because they feel like it matters. But I will say this: don't be surprised when you get what you get, when it's a lie. Because the truth is, it's never been for you. It's never meant for you. The Constitution that was written, they were educated by the Moors, but they didn't do it the way the Moors people taught them how to do it. Absolutely. These are facts. I can give you links to go on, but that ain't why I'm here today. I'm here to talk about what it really is. I mean, it's not for you. It's not gonna be for you. And I don't want people to keep thinking that going out and making your mark, putting your X down like they taught them to do before they was even learned to read. Make your mark. Slavery time, I'm just talking about that, Big John and all of them, with the hammer and all of that. Make your mark, John. I'm just teasing. But realistically, it's time for us to stop buying into what society has taught us is the way for us when it's not. It hasn't benefited us in 400 years. Why now?
Right. That's good. That's deep.
Until they decide to make it right by giving us those 40 acres and a mule. I don't think they're going to get what they get from us. I mean, and we're not going to get what we want from them either. So, yeah, you can tell your kids to go out and vote, but you're perpetuating the lie that has been sold. And the game is to be sold.
Yeah, when the game is
not
rigged.
Told.
Right. And especially when we know any Joanne Schmo can't just go out and be president. If you don't even have enough economic capital to stay in the race. and he came with financial resources that allowed him to stay in the race. You know, so if you and I can't figure out, let's say, you know, I'm putting in, you know, my nomination for Leo Sunfire to be the next president of these United States.
I hear some music playing.
First thing I got to do is figure out some donors that these $100 to $1,000 plates.
Make it rain on me.
Rain,
you know,
honey.
get the bag, baby.
You're listening to Black Portal Power on BSB Radio.
I built my ideals on standards I learned as an infant, and then I imagined my own, like most curious teenagers now. I watched my peers walk a path far different to mine, and I grew more confident with my own solitude. Politics, love, manhood, and sexuality I discovered like a blind lamb in the hands of an unfamiliar shepherd. With colored pigmentation, you must accept that your historically pivotal leaders will more than likely be killed. With darker pigmentation, you become an example of exoticism under that Western microscope. Elements of your identity appropriated and then sold back to you with less than clever taglines. And for all of it, you must smile and dance. Yeah, keep dancing. Knowing the revenge will taste so much sweeter once you've made it.
If only you knew, I got flesh wounds bigger than you. Funny how they are when I watch my stats, but they get around a mile in my shoes. If only you knew exactly what I've been through. Make you really wanna roll up, get high, sip into the bottle of seafood. If only you knew how much they pay for your silence, how much for all of that money you saved to put on your brother consignment. How did you sleep through the violence? You just get used to the sirens. You just got stuck in the cycle now. They look at you like it's my fault. May not have been in a place to save you. All I can offer is guidance. Nights we were wrecking the mileage. You used to whip with no license. I'm right around with that regular. What we were serving was science. Clearer than water with diamonds. We had the whale up beside him. Fuck up the real ego. I know the industry evil. I know a couple of devils in Prada tuxedos. I know they see us like Negroes. Still we came through with that black and white. Seeing numbers like we need. Doing numbers like casino. But all that love ain't a placebo. Energy switch up, phone don't pick up. Subs on Twitter, blood came thicker. Must be the dope, that made you slow. Even with a change, you were still my nigga. Me on the throne, you see me cooling, you see me shining. You didn't like it, must be a project. If only you knew, I got flesh wounds bigger than you. Funny how they are when I watch my stats, but they get around a mile in my shoes. If only you knew exactly what I've been through. Make you really wanna roll up, get high, sip into the bottle of seafood. I'm sure you've heard this all before. Sure you look familiar. Sure the cost of living keep on rising with no limits. Name a politician gave a fuck about your feelings. Name a single trend that didn't end up like a gimmick. Think there's something in the water. Tell me what the mission is. Icy lit showers, cold word, Flint, Michigan. Tire match my melanin. Black on black is militant. Represents my diligence. I see through that privilege. Something's in the water. I think there's something in the water. And I still don't watch the news. Barely trust the facts now. Liar, 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 throwing stones, then hide your hands. Wow, that don't make no man proud. Tears might make my city drown. I'm too scared to speak to God. There's shooters in the churches now. Something's in the water. Tell me what the mission is. Just another citizen that sacrificed my discipline. Still don't know my origin. Still don't know who's listening. Still can't tell the difference between strength and my conditioning. Something's in the water. There's something in the water.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I've been gone a while now. Never thought I'd come back to this. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I heard we've been falling down. What you mean we're falling down to this? I don't get this fuckery. This was never taught to me. I don't know how we got here. Oh, so suddenly. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm stood at the border. Yeah. And there's something in this water.
Something's in the water. I think there's something in the water. Something's in the water. There's something in the water. It seems that all we do is talk and never listen to the fiction. Clear as water that is all a masquerade. For the love of my addiction, tire marks and 9/11s. Ain't no evil, see no evil in my life. Same old story, pain and glory, fit inside your categories. Numbers that I wouldn't see another day. What more can I say? I think the rain, my guardian angel, fall from heaven just like Gabriel. Come and take away the pain.
Something's in the water. Bad things in this water. Something's in my brothers. Something like no other. I can't put my finger on it. All I know is we don't want it. All I know is if we carry on then we will fall. All I know is if we take this on then we will lose it all. Yeah. Something in the water.
So we're back. And of course, as promised, we got to touch on this issue of COVID-19.
Health.
It would not be Black Portal Power if we did not talk about this public health issue that is unduly affecting the Black community for various reasons. And we can talk about all of that, whether it's access to healthcare, us working, being the true essential workers. As always, we are the frontline workers, and that puts us at greater risk. But speak on that, Leo Sunflower. Fire, talk to us about COVID-19.
Well, Dr. Love, you know that it's been a real struggle for me on so many levels. First of all, I started out with this as a self-employed woman for almost 30 years. Never having to sit down for any reason, rather it was rain, sleet, hail, or snow. I mean, I could pick and choose the times in which I would move around to make my money. And for someone to demand that I sat down and couldn't work was a big challenge for me mentally and emotionally. But let's get to the topic at hand as far as the disease or dis-ease of COVID-19. Because it has been a dis-ease from the moment that it began for everyone. For those that have become sick physically and for those that become sick mentally. Emotionally, well, that is not even a subject matter as far as COVID-19 goes, because fear is where emotions are right now. Everybody's in the state of panic and fear. People are disowning and discrediting and not wanting to be a part of their loved ones' lives out of fear of this dis-ease. Now, medically, there is always a virus that will plague humanity, especially in America, because flu runs rampant every year. And if I can recall, when they first began talking about this disease, it was flu-like. It was the flu, maybe on steroids, but still the flu.
Right.
And a lot of people have experienced it and didn't even know they had it. They gave it a name and then it became deadly. They got better because they fought it. You know, they had the willpower mentally and physically to fight past something. They have put panic on the face of this earth in such a way that people don't have the desire or the will to fight against it. They just submit. They are going in and afraid to touch one another. Well, there are so many things that happen, that can and has happened with humanity when you don't interact and have touch. The physical touch of another human being is vitally important to our existence, health-wise. I know a lot of people probably don't know that, but that is one of the reasons why the elder fade away, because they lose the connection of physical touch with people. And that's another topic, because we're talking about Alzheimer's, we're talking about all the things that plague our elderly people, and not to mention that the whole fear-based thing is stress on the body. So you're killing off your organs in ways that you don't even realize, because you're putting undue stress on your body in fear of what might happen to you. There are a lot of people that have become ill. I don't doubt that, because it's always a disease on this earth.
No doubt.
But is it COVID-19?
Right.
When you already had diabetes, or you already had a heart condition, or you already had some kind of terrible pre-existing health condition, it might take anything to take you out.
Absolutely.
But it ain't always COVID-19. They want to make sure that they put all of it in a pile, in a lump, and say anything that happens from this point on is COVID-19
related.
But it really just isn't. It's just not. And don't get me wrong, I will protect everybody around me. That's my job. That's what I do for people that I love. I'm gonna make sure I protect them. If I gotta wear a mask, fuck it, I'm gonna put a mask on. don't want to, but I'll put it on. To make people feel at ease and to protect them so that they can get through their day better.
No doubt.
But people, come on, let's let this fear go. If we're gonna do this thing, let's do it the right way. Wash your hands. I was already washing mine, so I don't even know why this ain't affecting me that kind of way. You know, I wash my hands and my ass daily, so I don't know how to make other people understand. Wash your hands,
or that you need a time.
I need to tell you
sing
to
the
wash your
birthday
hands.
song
You need
about
a
how
time.
long.
How
Listen,
old
if
are
the
you?
water's not hot, keep your hands
dang.
under there. Like,
yeah, burn them motherfuckers if you have to. But I'm just saying, wash your hands. Quit wiping your face with your dirty hands, and you know, quit touching your eyes. You're gonna have a star or something on there anyway. It happens. It has happened since people were kids.
Since the beginning of time.
I'm just saying, this dis-ease has caused people to forget that other things are just what they are. People get summer colds. That's not COVID. All right, I'm just gonna say that because I heard a few people cough this summer, and I'm like, okay, you got that shit, or you know what I'm saying, or you just got a little cold. You know, I got you some Benadryl. Is that a tickle or is that a COVID? Let me hear. Take a deep breath. See how your lungs. Oh, okay, you good. You good. I'm just saying, everything ain't COVID-19. And it has caused us to lose out on so much. I don't really care about the sports like other people. Are you a sport fan? And I know I know. You know, I mean, I got love for you, so I'm praying for you that they get back in there. But check this out. In the baseball arenas, they got virtual fans now out there cheering.
It showed us that we are replaceable.
Well, who's a loser and who's a winner when you got virtual fans?
Hey, everybody's
nobody's booing for this motherfucker. I'm just saying, you did good or you did good. Virtual fans are gonna cheer. That's wrong.
Hey, listen, I was watching the Royals game and they had cutouts. I was like, wait a minute.
Is that Becky over there with the good hair?
That was Becky with the good hair and the cutout.
What?
I was really, and then I was looking for the black people cutouts. I said, they ain't put Tyrone them up in the.
He didn't make the cut.
Listen,
they put him
I guess
because
we be like way up at the top.
Yeah,
like, so,
nosebleed tickets.
Right.
You know, you still can't afford it, and it's a virtual reality. God,
I want to see virtual fans fighting in the stands. Like make it real.
Make it
Listen,
real.
I need somebody jumping over seats.
I mean, is there a hot dog that just went over their head?
Cussing out
Hit
the
somebody,
umpire. Like, make that happen.
Make it happen.
But I want to get back, Leo, to what you were saying about many of us probably had this strand of COVID.
Absolutely.
Or the flu, really. Myself included. I mean, I remember back in March, you know, I felt god awful. Like this wasn't a regular flu. This wasn't a regular cough. My sense of taste was gone. I had the, you know, like having hard time breathing, all of that. And who knows what it was? You know what I mean? They treated it as the flu and you know, that's what it was. You know what I mean? And I bounced back from it. I am, you know, being, you know, I not only play a doctor on the radio, I'm a doctor in real life. Not a medical doctor. Let me put that out there. But I do like looking at empirical evidence. And one of the things that always troubles me is whenever, you know, reports about COVID come out, we get raw numbers. You're not telling me the rate, you know, so you can, if I put out a number and say, you know, 15,000 people have died from COVID since January, but I'm not saying relative to the actual population. Give me a rate. Let me know, do I have a greater chance of getting COVID versus, you know, dying from the flu, you know, the regular flu? Let me know, put it in perspective. And so it does make me wonder, you know, to what extent is this virus one that is, a death threat for me, you know, and so much so that I need to alter my day-to-day living experience. And then you also pointed out that for those who have died, more often than not, they had pre-existing conditions that increased the likelihood that they were going to die. So it wasn't necessarily COVID, but how COVID interacted with, you know, respiratory health issues and things like that.
Absolutely.
And so that's another thing that we don't really pick up on. And then, your greatest point, I think the thing that troubles me when I hear stories about it is that people are dying alone. They're in hospitals where loved ones can't visit them, and we know the impact that having a loved one to be there by your side and encouraging you. Absolutely. And the sense of touch, like you said. I mean, I know studies that are done that shows that babies, the first thing they do when babies are born is put them right on the mother's chest, right?
Absolutely.
Before they do anything else, because they understand the importance of that first connection and touch. Mm-hmm. So I think you bring out a lot of important points that can kind of get lost in the sauce here,
Well, yeah. I mean, those are the things they want us to forget about because they want you to stay in complete panic mode. I mean, just think about what this is doing to us physically as far as our lungs are concerned. We are literally breathing in our own carbon, which we are not allowing the plants to suck up now because we're breathing it in ourselves. We're not taking in their oxygen and then they taking in our carbon. It's not being done. So the exchange has got to affect the ecosystem eventually when the plants can't live off of us because we're not living off of them anymore. These are the things that they don't want you to really pay attention to because they want you to stay in a state of panic, fear. If you keep that mask on all day, I mean, I'm seeing people outside in 85, 90 degree weather with a mask on. Quit it. Stop. You're going to die.
I'm tired of the people in the car with the mask on. I'm like,
you the only one in there. And you breathing in your own shit. You giving your own self COVID. You a dummy. But go ahead. I'm sorry. But no, seriously, if you're walking in the sun, you decided you're going to get some exercise and you're breathing in your own carbon. Imagine what that is doing to your body. Nobody's paying attention to these things because we're living in a state of panic and fear. And when you put fear on the table, God ain't with you because guess what? That's not a spirit of God, fear.
Nothing like that. And I mean, the panic, as you and I know, leads to fear, and fear means I'm gonna take whatever medication they come out with it. Man, listen, I think people was ready to line up for the bleach injections.
Yeah, like get the
but
bleach
now
out,
we got
y'all,
pharmaceuticals,
Clorox.
Big Pharma.
They own us.
They got their hands in it
They're
now. They are
us.
rushing
They are
to the
coming.
finish line. Who's gonna get this vaccine out first? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm skeptical. I personally have never taken a flu shot because I don't want to be taking in the flu, and then especially when the flu is a virus and there's so many strands of it. It's like telling me you can give me a cure for a common cold. Really what you're trying to do is help my immune system prepare for something that it hasn't been attacked with.
Yes.
But you're giving me a strand of that virus.
So, you giving me last year's flu to protect me against this year? Nah, I'm cool. I don't think you want last year's flu if it ain't gonna protect me from this year's flu, because this year's flu might be different. It might have a little twist to it.
But what do we say to our grandmother who's listening and saying, hey, I want to take this vaccine as soon as it hits the market and is available?
They gonna do what they gonna do anyway, because our ancestors are with them already. They gonna do what they want to do. I mean, if you are living in a state of fear through any of this, I don't care if you 1 years old to 100, then you are already dying. You don't have to wait for the disease. Keep living with that shit. Fear.
Because it is the number one killer.
You are dying.
That's right. It's a slow, painful death. Agree.
Now, be cautious and protect yourself. Wash your hands. Don't be touching and eating off of people's forks and spoons and knives.
Going to house parties.
You don't go to house parties right about now because people are nasty. You want to make sure, just nasty. You want to make sure you take precautions, because I'm not foolish enough to say don't go out and protect yourself and just live.
Sure.
But just be sensible and don't let the fear go. Just get rid of it. So I got one thing to say. I got one last thing to say about COVID motherfucking 19. Fuck you, COVID-19. You came in like a thief in the night. with your dastardly plight, suffocating the world and giving them fright. All masked up, they won't even fight. Social distance, stand 6 feet apart. The lack of human touch will destroy the heart. Fist bumps, nah. Elbow rub, no, I can't give you no hug. Fuck you, COVID-19, you soul-stealing thug. Thank you for listening to Black Portal Power. You can tune in every Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on BSB Radio. Open your mind.
Free your soul.
For the portal is always open.